Hi guys, it is Dom here from Wobbling About Rocking Out. Just had a wonderful chat with a good friend of mine, Al Chambers, who I met on my counselling training. He combines boxing with counselling as part of Phoenix training and Legion's Gym, which he's run for a very long time. He talks about his background training in self-defense and how that led to working with young people, working with people as a personal trainer as well, sort of working on fitness, working on mental health, and his counselling journey, studying to be a counsellor and how that kind of fit in. I've got a lot of respect for Al and his work at Phoenix Training, and a lot of respect for him as a person. You'll see his enthusiasm for supporting people, young people and people of all ages with their physical and mental health here, and that's why I really wanted to bring him to your attention. He's got a good heart, he works really hard, and I really think that Phoenix Training does good work, and his counselling work is going to be great as well. So thank you for checking out this interview with Al. Whether you're listening to it or watching it, really appreciate it, and we'll see you soon. Take it easy. All right, so I'm sat here with you, Al. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I've long respected your work and admired what you do, and obviously we're here today to talk a little bit about that. So if you could give me a little bit about your background. Obviously, you do have the boxing element of what you do. You're obviously a newly qualified therapist as well. How did you start Phoenix Training? How did that all come together for you? What is your background that enabled you to begin that sort of journey?
All right, yeah. So it's a bit of a story of like there's a few twists and turns in it, mate. So going back about 12 years ago, me and a friend started a gym, Legion's Gym. It was a small Thai boxing gym. We just wanted to create somewhere that people could go and train. We were serious about the training. We had no ambitions for a business or anything like that. We just really wanted our own spot where we could train guys who were wanting to fight. So we started that. That then developed over probably about 5 or 6 years, and then a guy came on who was looking to sponsor us, and then he talked about moving to bigger premises, and so he purchased a building and we moved into it. So then from there, we realised quite quickly that we weren't very good at business, if honest. We needed to fill this building that cost a lot of money for upkeep, and we had great support from our sponsor and stuff, but also we needed to start making the business stand on its own 2 feet. So from there, we invited a guy in to start up an amateur boxing team alongside the Thai boxing, and another lad to run the Legion's MMA team. We started kids classes and things like that, and so it was a bit of a journey as such. It changed the dynamic of the gym quite big, really. Like going from this like little hardcore gym of just people who wanted to really fight to people who wanted to train, who had no intention of fighting but wanted to be part of something like that. And so it took a bit of a while to kind of adapt, but I think we have done, definitely. And then so from there, about 4 or 5 years ago, I was training a guy who he used to basically go on the sesh every weekend. And then on a Monday, I'd train him on a Monday and he'd be full, he'd be on a bit of a downer. Usually it was a bit of a struggle for him. And I would just sit and listen. We'd do a bit of training, hit the pads. And then I'd been training him maybe a good few months. And he said, Al, do you know what? These sessions really help me. You should be a counsellor. And I just like quite glibly just replied, mate, you'd have to pay me more, that's for sure. And we just had a laugh and just kind of laughed it off. And then it stuck a little bit. And I was thinking about it and I was like, well, I can kind of see how it is a link. Can't see I generally lean towards or working with people who maybe are struggling or looking to build confidence through the training rather than just fight level stuff. I enjoy coaching beginners and building people up. So I was like, yeah, there's maybe something in this. So I had a little look at local courses and the level 2 just at York College, signed up for it and went and did that for 3 months. Really enjoyed it. But I'll be honest, mate, like the process of from going there to becoming a therapist seemed so long and so much commitment that I kind of just was like, I don't know if I've got it in me. Left it for a couple of months, but it just like that. It was planted then. And I was like, the more I thought about it, and I was just like, I'm going to have to do this. So I signed up for level 3, did level 3, signed up then for level 4, It's level 4. That's where we met, isn't it? Like
Dude, yeah.
we did our interviews together, didn't we? And we had
Yeah.
to like role play,
Yeah.
counselling each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got on that, and then from there, qualified this year. And the more I've kind of focused on that and gone through that process, which was life-changing, probably in a lot of ways, life-affirming, definitely. But I could really see this connection between, I felt it and seen it and experienced it of people training alongside having this space to talk and bring their issues to it and building themselves up physically and mentally alongside it. It just seemed to work, mate. It just seems to fit with me and what I like to do. And so from there, qualified now, looking to build this talk and train thing. Boxing therapy, I was just mentioning to you, is becoming a thing in other areas of the country. So looking to do that and just take it from there, really. So
yeah, nice. Yeah, thank you for that. And I think it's interesting to sort of look at, because obviously you train people, you are trained in self-defense and things like that. That's where you're kind of where all this started for you. Where did that passion come from for self-defense and for the art of it? Because I guess there's a lot more to it than just fighting. It's discipline and things like that. So if you could take me back to kind of the point where you were like, this is what I want to do in terms of training other people way before the counselling stuff. Was it as simple as I want to fight people, I want to train how to fight? Tell me a bit more about that. Yeah.
So for me, mate, it was during like my teenage years and that, and probably into my, probably to be like 18, 19. I'll be honest, man, I was just scared of fighting. Right. Like for all the bluster, I wasn't in confrontation, the adrenaline of it all, though I didn't understand what it was. Just didn't like it. Used to bother me quite a lot. I trained a little bit in kickboxing and other things when I was younger. And the idea is that you train in these things, you become like, from there, I'm like, I'll fight anyone and all that. And it just doesn't work. And it just happens, I used to buy the magazines and stuff. And I read about a guy called Jeff Thompson, who in like the reality-based self-defense stuff and martial arts field, he's quite a well-known name really, and he was particularly then. And he was a guy who was suffering. He had the same issues. He was suffering from depression. He had a lot of mental health issues stemming from abuse and stuff as a child, and then other issues. And basically, he was put on medication. One day, he threw his medication into the river. Like, not that I'm suggesting everyone go and do that, but for him, he then wrote down everything he was scared of and faced each thing individually. And the last thing was physical confrontation. And then he went and worked, this was in the 80s in Coventry, and he went and worked as a bouncer. And he quickly realised that a lot of the traditional martial arts didn't work in that environment. So he then became a bit of a pioneer of what reality self-defense was. And it was like he was just speaking directly to me, that experience. So from there, trained a bit of boxing. I then went and lived up in Scotland, and there was a guy teaching that stuff up there. I came back to York, and there was nowhere teaching like MMA, anything like that. So I just happened to go into Thai boxing, and then through that, I met Dave, who I started the gym with. And then when the chance came to do like the reality-based stuff, because by then I was much more confident. I wasn't walking around worried about anything like that. I'm very aware of social situations. I can read them quite well. I'm really good at avoiding trouble, talking it down. Like, you've met me, man. I'm not a particularly aggressive fighter. I'm not a natural fighter or anything like that. I have to work very hard to be very average at it, if I'm honest. Like, I'm not a natural to it. But then the guys who were Jeff Thompson senior instructors, they were teaching the qualification in a course. So I went and studied that in Coventry with them over quite a few months. And because of my background and my experience by then, I was able to get my qualification in that and teach their thing. But I'll be honest, mate, it's not a big part of what I do really, because the classes just aren't that popular for self-defense. My experience is that most guys think they can fight, and most ladies just don't think it won't happen to them. So I had a core group of students of between about 8 to 10 each week, but it never really went past that, which is an interesting thing. But so my main focus really is the boxing side of the gym. I've been like in England England boxing. I'm a level 2 coach now, and we have a strong team at the gym, building a successful team. So I do that. And then if people want to come and do a bit of the self-defense stuff alongside it, that's great. But I'll be honest, it's quite rare.
Yeah. One of the things I was looking at, and obviously I know about you, is again, there's a huge part of is the boxing, but also the mental health aspect. You promote on your website that a lot of the time it's about talking to people as well as work, as well as boxing, as well as fighting and training. You're also promoting, we're here to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I wonder, again, I know that that inspired your route towards counselling and things like that. But when was the moment, the sort of light bulb moment where you were like, oh, wow, these people need someone to talk to? Because you're working with a lot of young people that have come from, difficult backgrounds, challenging backgrounds as well.
Yeah,
so was it just a natural progression from not only training people in boxing and things like that, but also almost counselling them, having that time to talk?
Yeah, definitely, mate. It's like you speak to most coaches and PTs, especially those who work a lot of one-on-one, and because you're usually removed from their everyday life, you often don't know their families and partners and stuff like that. They come to the gym and they're in that space. It's often not that busy during the day for the one-on-one. People tend to open up, and I've been training some people for 10, 11, 12 years, and over that time you just can't help but become closer to someone, especially if you like them. You grow, there's an affection there and a trust there, and you get to know each other like pretty well. And people would tell you stuff that like part of their session is to offload really often. And I think the other one that people often talk about is like, it's a hairdressers. They often get the similar thing again, because there's that time to communicate. The time's focused on them, which is really a powerful thing. So it's not often that happens with people in busy lives. They get this hour to themselves with one other person. They're feeling better through the training, and the relationship developed, and they grow to trust, and they'll open up a little bit. And so from there, I'll be honest, man, when I first went to do the counselling, I was very much a case of, I'll nail this. I pretty much do this anyway. Like, I just need to go and listen. And then the very first session, my tutor was like, oh, so counselling, you don't give advice. And straight away I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, I'm always giving advice. Like, It was completely different to what I thought it was going to be. And I think a lot of people have that misconception. And so once I started learning it and then applying that into my training sessions, it just developed even more, really. People became, this will sound a bit arrogant, and I don't want it to at all, but like someone came to the gym and there would maybe be like a bit of an issue that the other coaches would maybe say, oh, you want to go and speak to Al? He's pretty good at this stuff. And then obviously once I started doing the qualifications, I would put it out on my social media that this is what I was looking to do, and hoping to build become like the go-to guy for this type of thing, really. So it kind of worked together. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll go into a bit more detail on that in a minute. I want to ask what the most rewarding part of the job is. Me and you have had conversations off record where we've talked about, again, the joy that you get from working with a specific young person or specific young people where you've obviously helped them out. But yeah, tell me about some of the most rewarding parts, 2 or 3 things that you love most about the work that you do.
Yeah, so okay, mate. So the most obvious one is when you see these kids become much more physically able. Like, they go from coming in to the gym quite quiet, maybe a little bit shy, and they start and they're building up, and maybe had issues at school. And they progress from that, and don't get me wrong, it's not us just doing, like, they have to keep turning up, which is a massive thing. And then eventually you'll see then like, all right, I think you're maybe ready to move up to squad class, which is quite a stepping stone to go from the recreational beginners class to squad class. Once on the squad class, they work out the sparring's much higher level, and there's no messing about in that class. You go into that class to work because you're training to fight. And kids fighting is what it boils down to, mate, which however uneasy that can make some people feel, that's what it's about. So we need them to be safe. We need them to trust us. We need them to be fit and capable and ready to basically participate in a fight. And so once they get there, then they may be selected for their first skills bout. They get the vest, they're on the show, the parents come and watch. They then feel, rather than being in the squad class but not a fighter, to then be, right, yeah, I've got my picture, I've been on the show, I'm a carded boxer, I've represented Legions, which is a good fight team. Man, it's life-changing for some of these kids. Like, I'm not saying that, like, again, glibly or anything like that. For some of these kids, I reckon boxing has changed their lives 100%. I believe that. And for some of them, it's a way, maybe not academically, that they can see a future for themselves, if not as a pro fighter, but maybe as a PT, a coach, or things like that. So there's that side of it, which is the most obvious route. But other things, mate, is the biggest one. Another big one is, like, again, like, I don't want to sound too sugar-coated or too twee that, but to become part of a community is very important for a lot of these children, because often they're not part of a community at school. They're not all the time, don't get me wrong, maybe not even the majority, but a significant amount of them are not in the big gang at school. They're not performing well at school. They're maybe a little bit socially awkward because of the background. They maybe have certain issues around ADHD is particularly common in the gym. We have quite a few children who would be classed as on the autistic spectrum and things like that. So then them coming to our gym, usually very nervous. And then particularly the sessions that me and Tom, the beginners recreational boxing class, it can be a pretty chaotic class. There's such different age groups, abilities, attention spans, but getting to know them and see them, they become part of it, and they get to know a few of the faces. We get to know their names, get to know what they're like, get to find out a little bit about their background. You can really see that being part of something is it's great. It's just brilliant for them. They love it. They get the T-shirt and the repping and the gloves and come in, can you wrap our hands for us? Yeah, of course we can, and stuff like that, mate. So just being part of something is often, I'm not saying you just get it from our gym. Kids can get it from any kind of community football teams, any kind of activity, physical or not, youth clubs or whatever it is. But there's something specifically for me about becoming part of that group of people, and then maybe thinking, I could be squad next. It's a powerful thing for these kids, definitely. And you can just see the change in a lot of them. Quite a few we lose, by the way, mate. I'm not saying we keep them all. We definitely don't. Some, it's either too much for them, their work, it's too hard work. Like, there's a certain expectation of what you do when you come to the gym. You can't just come and, disrupt everyone. And, I've lost my head loads of times with them when they're just doing my head in, I'll be honest, mate, but it's part of it, isn't it? So that, and then I think the third one, mate, and again, it's like, especially for the ones who get on the squad maybe, or in the tie, we've seen it with young guys and lasses, they get then selected to go maybe travel. Like, we've been to Australia, I've been twice, but Dave's been 3 times with fighters, maybe wouldn't get a chance to go and travel. Yeah. Get lasses who are now on the England team, travelling, fighting in Europe. Their experience, what's out there in the world, not just what's in York, not just thinking, I'll go to school, then I'll get a job. Or I'll go to school, I'll go to university, then I'll get a job. They're seeing what's out there. They're getting opportunities through being part of this gym, this community, and performing and working hard, that they get to travel, they get to meet new people, they get to think, what is out there for me? What could I do? I could do anything. Look at what I've done now. I've traveled to the other side of the world to fight, stayed in a lovely hotel and experienced all this. What else could I do? And I think there's a real lesson about the harder you work and the more dedicated you are to something, and with the right support and that, you can achieve most things, I would say.
one of the things I wanted to ask you about was obviously before we go back into the counselling side of things, is the challenges you face. Now I think there's something quite useful in the fact, you set up your business. You're working with young people, and there's challenges in that. Managing a business, working with young people of all ages. You mentioned some neurodivergence there.
Yeah.
It's not something that everybody can deal with, not someone that everyone can work with. So if you can sort of, as comfortable as you are, talk to me about some of the challenges you've faced running the business and working with these young people and the day-to-day stuff and how you've overcome those things.
Yeah, it is, mate. It is hard. Like it's tiring as well. So it's quite I don't think any of the other coaches mind is saying. So there's me and Tom run this half five to half six class, and then me, Tom, and Ash do the little kids, but that's only half an hour. And like it's definitely the hardest class to run because I said like the difference in abilities, the difference in attention spans, the difference in fitness levels. So you've really got the difference in behaviour. Like I'll be honest, mate, especially if like my kids, I'm home, so I've got 3 kids, are doing my head in, and then I'm tired, I've had a long day, and then go to the gym and they're not listening and carrying on, and I'm shouting, and I'll be honest, mate, I sometimes like get really cross with them. I'll make them sit down, and I'll just give them a bit of a bollocking, really. And then I'll make them do something like, right, we're just doing burpees, something not particularly enjoyable, because I've got to be really careful of that, because it's generally not their fault. And it's for the majority of them, it's definitely not their fault. There's maybe a few disruptive ones. So it is the patience, mate, and my patience has gone loads of times, I'll be honest. But you've got to really learn to be patient, and that's hard. And I think it was Ash from the gym. He said the biggest thing you need to remember when you're coaching kids is they're not little adults. They're not. You can't expect them to be like an adults class, just smaller. Like it just doesn't work like that. It's totally different. It's a massively different dynamic, and it can be, like I say, it can be really, really challenging. Most of the time, well, it's awesome. Like you get these big wins, and then you're like, definitely, it's worth it. But other times you'll be sat thinking, today was a tough day. May have done my head in today. So that's difficult. The other difficulty, mate, is like you can spend a lot of time, energy, and effort and make no difference. Make no difference at all. We've had kids who, they'll come in disruptive for whatever reason. You try your best, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna put the effort in," and you're spending extra time with them, and you've really got high hopes that you could get a breakthrough. It just doesn't happen. They either don't come back, or the behaviour doesn't improve, or they're just not bothered. Yeah, you can do your best to get through, but you can't get through to every kid, and that can be difficult. You can become pretty despondent with it a lot of the time. Yeah. So you have to manage that expectation, and you have to prepare for them disappointments, because it's pretty tough. And we work with kids, mate, and you just don't see anything good in their future from where they are. It's pretty heartbreaking, really. You can get to learn and pick up a little bit about their background, their home life, their school behaviour, or what's going on, and you're just like, what is going to happen with this? And you're doing your best, but we have limited time, resources, and stuff. And these kids are in the gym. There's nothing we can do. And it's tough, mate. You do lose a lot, and you see some stuff that's it's not nice, really. No. Heartbreaking, like I say, for some of them. So that can be really tough as well. So you need to manage that. I think there's and I see this quite a bit, is like certain like schools or organisations or people are just like, oh yeah, this youngster, he needs the discipline of boxing. I'm going to bring him along, and you sort him out. So they then bring a youngster who is very socially awkward, has no kind of fitness level, often can be carrying extra weight and stuff because nutritionally at home and that things are difficult, and they then throw him into this kid who probably doesn't even want to come and expect you to sort of change this kid's life, and they don't want to be there. the idea of it is like romanticized, you know what I mean? Send them to a boxing club and it'll sort them out. And it just doesn't work like that. Like, it can work like that, but often it's just, in theory, brilliant. In practice, no, it doesn't always work. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort from you and the kid, and a consistent effort over a long time to get these kids to a place where they can, progress. So that can be challenging. And then, like you said, then that neurodivergent stuff is. So me and Tom have a little joke that we're like building our little neurodivergent army at the gym. Like, we've got this little squad, then we'll be taking over in the future, because we do have a lot of, particularly, I think my experience is the ADHD thing is very prevalent now. I would say we could have up to 25% of our class could show symptoms of that. And so you have to manage that in your sessions, you know. Can't just put someone on one thing for half an hour because the focus isn't there at all. And it's difficult. So we do our best, mate. But yeah, like I say, there are challenges there. But I think to get through it, the main thing you need to be is patient, consistent, and just a bit of an optimist, really. You know, you've got to think, yeah, maybe we will, maybe this one will do something, or maybe this will. And when it works, it's awesome. It's such a good thing.
Yeah.
When it doesn't, it can be very, it can be tough.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing some of those difficulties with me, Al, because I think it's just nice to know, or certainly useful to know for anybody who's interested in starting their own business in this field and also working with young people, some of the realities there and the romanticizing, which obviously happens quite a bit. Going back to the counselling stuff now, because I'd quite like to sort of look at some of the parallels you've found since you've qualified. What are the skills that you've taken? You know, you mentioned the patience that you kind of have to have. What are some of the skills you've taken from your counselling training that you can say you've directly applied to your work in the gym? Yeah,
I think without getting too technical on our counselling stuff, mate, do you know, like the core conditions?
Yeah.
The counselling core conditions, if you apply them to any relationship, really, they're going to benefit. But so if you're properly listening to these youngsters, or adults as well, not just telling them do this, which sometimes is part of it. You know, you have to go. We expect you to go and do that on the bag and practice this skill. Great. They then come back with something. Oh, this is happening. That is happening. Or you can usually pick up and try to listen and find out what's going on behind what they're saying, because, you know, especially for some of the younger lads, there's a bravado there, and there's a swagger, and then so try to see what's going on, because you can usually see when things aren't quite right. Behaviours, you get to know these youngsters, you get to know your team well. You know, it's a pretty strong relationship that you build. So yeah, definitely listening. Like showing the positive regards, you know, unconditional regard. That is difficult. Of course, the dynamic is different in a gym, because, like I said, there are certain behaviour expectations. And if you want to fight, you've got to be in the gym a certain amount of times. You've got to be training hard. You've got to be doing your runs and stuff like that. And if that's not happening, you then need to, find out why. Sometimes they do need telling, right, just get on with it. But always trying to hold them in that, like, positive regard, not getting a downer on them, not, showing them that if they're consistently, like, maybe not behaving in the way you want and it's disappointing, you've got to really pull yourself back from just criticising them and pulling them down. You need to look at doing that. And that's difficult as well, mate. You know, it can be really frustrating. So, yeah, particularly then, I've forgotten, what's the other one? I've forgotten the name. What's it called? I'm being, so having my own.
Go on.
Being congruous. That's right.
Yeah,
congruent. So being authentic with them. Yeah. Telling them if we are disappointed, but in a way that's hopefully they can understand why, explaining why. If they need a bit of a bollocking, they should understand why, because they'll know that when they are doing what's required, then they are getting encouraged, you know. Positive reinforcement, I'm very big on that, me. Always, probably more so maybe than is probably a bit softer, mate, than some of the other coaches. Maybe to the detriment as a coach all the time, but I will try and pull that positive out. But yeah, but I think some of them will know that I'm a bit of a soft touch, really. They can come to me and I'm not going to be going mad at them or anything like that. Whereas they'll need it from other coaches. So, but yeah, that's just the way I am, really, but being authentic and then, not bullshitting them. They'll pick up on it. These are sharp kids. These are sharp people who you get, like I say, you get to know over this long period of time. It's quite an intense relationship. You can drive up and down the country to these shows, chatting away. You spend a lot of time with them. So if you're not acting in a way that is authentic, that'll soon get picked up on. If you try and blag it, it'll soon get worked out, mate, for sure.
Yeah.
And we've had it, and I've seen it. So you've got to be right with them. You've got to be honest with them, and you've got to behave in an honest manner and speak honestly to these people. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're phrasing there the soft touch thing. That's interesting because I think actually it's you being open to who you are. You're an empathetic person. So I would sort of change maybe some of that language there. It's quite difficult, because it's like sometimes people just need someone to listen to them, and obviously in our society that can be misconstrued. You can be called a soft touch, but actually what you're doing is you're offering those core conditions out.
Yeah, I'd agree, mate. Yeah.
Which is
I'll use that next time rather than the one. I'll be the empathetic coach. I'll be like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah. It's a great skill. So sort of 5 or 6 more questions then, Al. Obviously, we work with a lot of neurodivergence, a lot of disability, in terms of our audience now, and also people that want to better themselves in terms of physical fitness, mental health as well.
Yeah.
Putting you on the spot then for sort of 3 to 4 kind of key tips. What are some of the sort of mental health and well-being tips that you do give to your clients and young people? The core things that you would, as a coach, want to see people address if they want to sort of improve things for themselves?
Probably the main two. The main one is kind of be consistent, but you'll only be consistent if you find something that you enjoy doing. Mm. But to bear in mind with that is, so I like to use, like, I did the York 10 mile on Sunday, mate, and it was awful. Like, I'm not kidding, it was awful. Not being able to train properly for about 6 weeks, and it was just painful the whole way around. I didn't enjoy it, but I'm glad I did it. So finding something you can be consistent with is important, but finding something you enjoy, but something that you could then eventually enjoy won't be easy at the start, if that makes sense. So running's a good way of. So when you first start running, it's awful. It's really hard work, and not many people enjoy it. Once you become comfortable at running and good at running, like that's why there's so many runners. Do you know what I mean? You see them, they get the runner's high and stuff like that. So find something that gets you moving, that you enjoy, that you can do regularly. And if you can tie that in with being part of a good community of people, you're onto an absolute winner, mate, definitely. If that just, like, so a lot of people don't like being in the big settings and stuff like that, is to maybe try and find somewhere that you could do one-on-one sessions, not necessarily paying somebody, but you could maybe follow or train with, find a training partner to go, so you've got that support. But yeah, consistency, mate, something you enjoy. Community would be great. But if that's not your thing, so maybe just one other person you can rely on. They tend to be, if you can apply them things, it tends to work pretty well.
Fantastic. Well, cheers for that, Al. I think it's good to get a few core tips for people that are looking at people like yourself and thinking, maybe I'll give that a try. And we'll do a little bit of promotion for the gym at the end. But I think one of the things, again, I wanted to maybe touch upon was, what have you learned about yourself? Because again, I think, the person you were when you started Phoenix Training, when you started the gym, Legions, is far removed, I would imagine, from the person you are now as a qualified counsellor and all the things you've been able to do over the last few years. So what are the key things you've learned about yourself as a person, and I guess as a professional, through your career from the beginning to where you are now?
Learned quite a lot, mate, I would say. I think to start with, especially in the, like when we started Legions in the Thai boxing, like I say, we had a pretty tough fight squad, and part of me probably wanted to be this really good fighter and thing. And I was part of the gym and I had my fights, but like I said, very average. Like I will make no claims about how good I was, but I trained hard, particularly, yeah, I tried my best really. But I think once I kind of then accepted that it's not a natural thing for me to want to fight at all, like, but the benefits and the challenge and the result of doing that made me still want to do it, you know what I mean? And how that then impacted on me to try and help other people get the same benefits. I would say starting the gym and training in combat sports changed my life, mate, definitely for the better, for the 100% for the better. You know, I'm really lucky, very blessed that I can get up and go and spend time with these people who I train, who I work with, work alongside. It's hard, it's a lot of hours and a lot of time, but it's definitely 100% it's worth it. So once I was honest with myself and I could then just kind of, you know, be myself, I could start working with people who were struggling and use that and empathize, like you say, with them. Not try to be something I wasn't. Like I said, I'm not a natural fighter. I'm good at building relationships. I am quite an empathetic person, and usually I'm quite a patient person. So once I applied what my strengths to this area that I wanted to work with, started to see the benefits, and I enjoyed it more, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's like I was feeling as getting good results with it for myself and other people. What else have I learned? I've learned that I think I'm quite a reliable person. I think I can work hard when needed. But one big thing, mate, I don't know if we mentioned this last week, is like I am often tired and I will often try and sleep each day, even if it's just for 10, 15 minutes. I think I'm probably an introvert, really. Spending my time, a lot of time with other people means that I'm often tired. So I need to recharge and have that little bit of space on my own to sleep. Because yeah, it's hard being quite an introvert, which people maybe won't pick up on because I'm quite loud in the classes because I need to be because we have so many in. So yeah, an introvert, not a natural fighter, but hardworking, pretty patient, pretty loyal. I'll try and do my best for people. And I can be quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Idealistic, optimistic. I tend to think, you know, I'm always thinking, yeah, this will work out for the best for everyone. And it often doesn't, but each time I'm still like, yeah, come on. This will go well. So let's just have a go.
That optimism is a great characteristic for sure. Okay then. Well, I think as we sort of round up now, in terms of your message for anyone in York or beyond, then about who's thinking about starting a journey, you know, with a PT, someone like yourself, or going to a gym, you know, whether this is going out to a young person or somebody who's a little older, who's thinking about starting that journey, trying to either benefit their physical health or their mental health. What would be your message to anybody who is looking to start that journey about what they need to do and what they should do in terms of either reaching out to you if they're local or to anybody who is a fitness professional, mental health professional about getting that support?
Yeah, mate, I would recommend that they do it 100%. If anyone's local and they want to drop me a message, that is sound, even if it's not to train at the gym, but any recommendations. And two is to go and try sessions, go and meet the person. Don't just sign up through somebody or something without going and having either at the minimum a look around or a quick face-to-face chat. Most people, and I would say that if you ask for a session to trial it, if they're not willing to give you that, then, you know, I would be that'd raise a little, I'd be a bit like, well, why not? Why won't you let me try it? You're not confident in your session. Like, offer to pay for the first, I wouldn't expect someone to give you a session like for free, but a class for free. If it's a gym setting, can I come and try a class? Yeah, no problem. If it's a PT coach, you say, I'd like to try a session. Don't be signing up to any block things straight away. You know, if they believe in what they're doing, they should be giving you that. And just go and get a feel and go with your instincts. often you'll see people online, like they look the part, ripped up, strong, and all that, brilliant, successful at what they're doing. But maybe that's not what you're after. If you're after somebody who you really just want to move about a bit and just have and be able to chat away, maybe that's not the right person for you. They're maybe expecting a level of dedication that you are not, doesn't fit into your lifestyle. So reach out to them, mate. Meet them face to face and get a trial session in, and go your instinct. See how it feels inside, and if it feels right, then commit to it. And if you do go for it, do commit to it and give it a proper chance, and you should be all right.
Yeah, okay. And I think a couple of questions again that I kind of want to get to know you a little bit better for anybody who, is interested in you and what you do. Can you tell me a little bit more about what inspires you outside of training, outside of your mental health journey, in terms of training to be a counsellor? People, you've obviously mentioned a little bit about your family. What are the things, whether it's people, places, movies, music, anything like that inspires you outside of your career and your job?
Oh yeah. Oh man, yeah, caught me there. Reading, I'm a big fan of reading, mate. I'm absolutely, I love to just lose myself in a book, either on Audible in the car or just spend some time reading. So I'm keen on them. People who inspire me.
Yeah, I'll put you on the spot.
No, big time there, mate. I'm trying to think of anybody who's not linked to like boxing or psychotherapy or counselling.
Family, friends, anything like that.
So mate, I'm really lucky. I've got a tight family. I've got 2 brothers who are both sound. I've got my mum and dad who are so supportive, like with the family, like even looking after the kids when we was going through the counselling on the Mondays when we were in college. The kids would be at my mum and dad's. They were brilliant. My wife, she supported me. I know I often do her head in, like, massively. But again, she's always been there for us. Got 3 kids, love watching the footy, love watching my boys play footy. We've got a little girl into gymnastics and dancing. I generally just love family time here. I know it sounds such a cliche, but Sundays when I'm at home, we go and watch the lads play footy in the morning. We get our bacon butties in for lunch, get my paper delivered, and just read that, watch the footy on telly, Sunday dinner, you know what I mean? It's just stuff like that, mate, is what I love to do. Enjoy a few beers with my mates now and again. Enjoy watching films. But generally just chilling, reading, family time, mate, when I'm not in the gym because I'm busy the other time. So yeah, man. That's where I recharge, and that's probably where I'm happiest, mate, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Do you have what's the film that you can keep going back to? Do you have a film that you keep watching?
Oh yeah, mate. This will sound such a like my favourite film of all time is Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, it's cracking.
A great film, and obviously the therapy thing there, but I never tweaked. It was my favourite film from the first time I saw it. I absolutely love that film. It's got everything I want in a film.
Yeah, it's a great one for sure. Okay, well, one more before we do the plug-in bit for Phoenix Training and everything else and finish off. If you can give me 1 or 2 of the best bits of advice you've ever received, fitness related or otherwise, could be anything, something that you live by, that somebody told you at any point in your life that you try and bring into your existence every day.
Yeah. So the key thing for me, mate, and I made this decision when I was like early 20s, was I swore I'd never work in a job again that I didn't like. I worked in Royal Mail, and fair play to everyone who works in the sorting office on a night. And I had to leave, mate. It was just absolutely frying my head. So I committed then. So find my biggest thing, and I go on about it, and people must be like, just shut up, Al. But find the thing that you're passionate about and try and make a living out of that. It's my number 1 tip to anyone to live a life that's happy and fulfilling. And then the other one is just, I don't want to say that find your tribe thing, but find a group, or if it's your family, your friends, people you rely on, and bring you up and encourage you, and try and stick with them people, because that makes a big difference. And not worse, mate, than joy stealers, people who suck that joy, the cynicism and the negativity. Like, it's hard, isn't it, being around people like that? So find the people who build you up and you can rely on and trust and enjoy spending time with, and stick with them people, mate. You don't need loads of them, but once you find them, stick with them.
Brilliant, brilliant. Al. Okay, well, again, to finish up, then the plug-in bit. So, where can people find you? What do you want to promote? Is there anything you feel like we've missed that I haven't plugged? Anything you've got to promote that you want to push at the end here?
No, mate, it's all good. So, Legion's Gym in York. Just Google it. We're on there. If you need to drop message about anything to do with that, anything to do with the therapy or talk and train combination. My website. So at the moment it's wearephoenixtraining.co.uk. That's changing. It's going to be Phoenix Training and Counselling. I'm just going through the process of that. I'll just find us on Instagram, Legions, Al Phoenix, I think it is. Just drop me a message. I'll chat to anyone, man. I'm not bothered. It's all good.
Brilliant, Al. Well, thank you so much for giving up your time today to tell me a bit more about what you do. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Cheers, Dom. No, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.